Goldstein here again with Crushing It with Kitchen Remodeling podcast. And today we are so lucky to have with us one of the foremost experts in artificial intelligence, that's AI for most of you guys, and how businesses are using it to really improve their processes, improve their sales, improve their marketing, really be able to just make your team that much more efficient. We're going to have with us Jonathan Mast talking about AI and all about how you can use it. And we're going to do that just after this. Hey, Jonathan, how the heck are you today?
I'm great, Mike. Thanks for the invitation. I'm so happy to be here.
We're so glad to have you. You know, Jonathan, I've known you for a little bit here. We're members of a networking group together,
Yep.
mastermind and whatnot. But for those people who don't know who you are, who the heck is Jonathan Mast? What is it that he does?
That's a really good question. So I'm a digital marketer and sales coach, and I work with clients to help them, as you can probably relate, be found online, make connections with their audience, and ultimately, hopefully, close more deals. As simple as that. We found that the online marketing is part of it, but so is the sales part, and knowing how to use consultative sales to close those deals effectively and provide value to the customers. So that's what I do. And I happen to be a nut about AI stuff. I use it every single day, as you know, to make my business more efficient, to make me more efficient, my team more efficient. And I love sharing what it's all about, because I think so many people are just unsure or a little bit leery of it. And I love to say, hey, here's how it works. Here's how you can use it in your business. And hopefully that rising tide raises everybody's boat.
No, for sure. And, I mean, I've heard so many people, address concerns about AI. And I mean, you've heard the conspiracy theorists, of course, but, you've also on the other end of it, you hear people who, they live and breathe and they die by AI. And, I think somewhere in there is a middle ground that most of us fall into. And we realize that, this is a tool that's going to make us so much more powerful, so much more efficient. But, the challenge that I see, at least when I talk to my clients on a day-to-day basis, is, what actually is out there? What do they have available to them? Because they just don't know, other than, everyone's heard of ChatGPT, but AI and ChatGPT are not the same thing. There's so much
true.
out there. Yeah. And I think I was talking to a friend of mine recently. His name is Josh Wheeler, and Josh has been on the podcast as well. And, and what he had said to me one time was that, ChatGPT, it's not AI. What that is that, it's really just machine learning. True AI is yet to even hit us. And when it does, it's just going to be so much more revolutionary than anything we've even seen already.
No, I agree. Josh is brilliant. He's a great guy, and he's absolutely right.
Yeah. So, Jonathan, let me ask you this. I mean, can you start by just briefly explaining, what AI is to you, and see it being utilized in the home industry, particularly like our listeners who are in the kitchen remodel, the cabinetry space, how would they be able to utilize AI?
Well, I think more than anything else, to me, AI is not just, like you said, it's not just ChatGPT or GPT. It's not just Google Bard. It's not just Claude. It is everything that's surrounding that concept.
Sure.
And when I say that means there's a lot of tools that fit in as well. For example, I use AI on a daily basis to help me write emails. I use it to help me review documents, to summarize things that I need. Like you being in the digital marketing space, I'm sure you get, people that send you videos and books and all this and that. And, they want you to watch, an hour-long video about something. I'm happy to do that if there's value, but I can't watch 14 of them a day. So, one of the things I use AI to look at the transcripts of those videos, summarize it, and give me 5 to 20 bullet points about what the video is about. If it's relevant, then I can watch it. If it's not, then I don't have to. And even better, if I determine the relevant part's 7 minutes and 43 seconds in, AI will tell me that relevant part's 7 minutes and 43 seconds in, so I can skip to that part of the video. Same's true with books. You and I were just talking about, through the group we're part of, they just had a member intensive in Miami, and they recommended 6 or 7 books in discussion while I was there. Instead of buying each one of those and putting it in the library, which I will do, and I think most of them have already been ordered, but I haven't had time to read them all. But I've used the tools like ChatGPT and Claude and Bard to already give me summaries of the books and the key takeaways from the authors, so that I, as a business owner and a leader, can take advantage of that and start implementing right now. I don't have to wait for the books to arrive. I don't have to wait to get time to read them. I'm literally able to jumpstart that process. And obviously, there's a lot more, but there's so much I think that your audience can use it for just in running their business on a day-to-day basis. If the question I ask every business owner I know is, if I could show you how to use AI to gain 60 minutes a day, what would that mean to you? Because I believe you can easily add 60 minutes to your day or save 60 minutes by just using AI as part of your business process.
Yeah. And it's seriously, some of the things, as you were talking about that, one of the things that comes to my mind is the 80-20 rule. And, and that's something that so many business owners, they've heard of, but they don't really quite understand it. But when you think about videos, you think about books, you think about all this, the data out there. I mean, you don't need to know everything in there, right? You just need to kind of get those highlights. And, when you're using AI, I think it gives you that opportunity to say, hey, just tell me what I really need to know, point me to where I can find it. And, it's kind of the same way that, that search engines, changed the world when they first came out, back when it was Yahoo and it was InfoSeek and Ask Jeeves and all that. And I'm dating myself for sure, but
I was there with you. I get it. No, I was there. This white beard isn't just because I'm young,
for sure. But and I can see AI do that. Let me ask you. I mean, when you're talking about though, you take a video or you've taken a book. I mean, I think a lot of people say that's great, but how do I do it? What is the actionable step to do that? What tools do you use? Is everything ChatGPT? Is everything Bard? I mean, what's the process?
Great question. So I really use 3 primary AI tools on a day-to-day basis. One's ChatGPT that everybody's heard about. I do pay for the Pro plan. It's $20 a month. It's not needed, but I use it because I think it's better and I think it's well worth the $20 a month. I use Google Bard fairly consistently. It is different, and I'll share why in a moment. And then I use a tool called Claude 2 from Anthropic. That recently came out, major update, and has proven to be very useful. When I'm creating content, whether that be an email, a document, I'm just in the process of writing a new book and I'm using AI to help with that process. Whether, creating a standard operating procedure. I used it the other day to create a checklist that I needed for my team. And I went in and said, okay, here's the task. And it was actually how to upload a video to YouTube for a new assistant that I hired. She'd never done it before. I don't want to walk through and take the step-by-step process to capture every screenshot. So I just asked ChatGPT. Said, I need to upload a video. Here's what I'm trying to do. And 30 seconds later, I had a checkbox, not only how to do it, but what URLs to go to, how to log in, everything that was needed. And I had maybe spent 5 minutes editing it and it was done. So that SOP that would have taken me a half hour to an hour probably would not have been done very well. I got done in 5 minutes and it was exactly what we needed. And now, again, in my case, being that visionary ADD guy who, I'll get around to it, instead of thinking I'm going to create an SOP, now I've actually done it and I've given it to my staff. My staff is happy. They're more productive. I'm getting better value then out of their work. And again, just so many things we can do. So back to your question, I apologize. I waffled. I use ChatGPT for writing content. I use Google Bard when I need facts or when I'm looking for information about something. It's much better at that. For the record, ChatGPT will make things up out of thin air. It'll sound great, but totally false.
It'll cite legal cases that don't exist. And as a matter of fact, there's been a couple of lawsuits about that I've recently heard.
Yeah, there was actually recently an attorney, I think it was up in New York, but I'm not sure. And he actually got his case dismissed because he was quoting case law that didn't exist. Yeah. Exactly. And then I use Claude 2 very similarly. It's very similar to ChatGPT, but it's a slightly different, maybe more refined. It's hard to say process. It doesn't seem to have some of the same repetitive nature that ChatGPT can have. And then in addition to that, I use a lot of different plugins, specifically Chrome browser plugins that help me do more faster with different things like Sharpen AI and Web Chat GPT, which gives the free version of ChatGPT full web access and things like that.
Now, when you're using some of these plugins, or you're using, the new code interpreter to analyze data in ChatGPT, do you need the paid version?
So it depends on what you want. If you want to have the code interpreter, to the best of my knowledge, yes, you do need the paid version for that. If you want the plugins that are part of ChatGPT, you can get the Google Chrome ones regardless.
Sure.
But if you need the ones as part of ChatGPT, for example, they've got one that reads a PDF, and I can literally upload a PDF file and have a discussion essentially with that PDF, asking it questions, and it feeds back the information in that as reference. Those require, to the best of my knowledge, the paid subscription. Google Bard, I don't believe, has a paid subscription, or if they do, somebody the other day said they do, but I guess because I use G Suite for my email and everything else, I've never seen that option. And then Anthropic Claude is coming out with one, but at the moment they allow you to use it you get quite a few uses per day. I don't know how many. I've never ran out. So it's quite a few.
Yeah, and I mean, I would encourage anybody to become an early adopter of the new AI tools as they come out, because I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with, with AppSumo and places like that, where,
Absolutely.
You can get in on the ground floor. And what happens is oftentimes some of these programs, they start for free, or you buy a lifetime subscription to it. And then all of a sudden it's, $50, $100 a month that you're already grandfathered in. Perfect example of that, guys, by the way, is we're using something right now called StreamYard. And I believe I'm paying about a third or maybe a quarter of what you should be paying on a monthly subscription, because I was an early adopter. So definitely go, you want to go in on that. And one of the example of that also is recently Midjourney, which I mean is a great tool.
Fantastic.
If you're looking to create graphic works, I mean, a lot of people are using something called Leonardo.ai now, which is a free tool. I don't think it does as good a job as Midjourney does, but Midjourney used to get a couple credits free every day. Now that's a paid subscription. These are just things I look at.
Well, and there's some really cool opportunities, especially, again, in the kitchen remodeling space. Imagine going into Midjourney and creating a custom image or a design, and then having that done in a way that you can apply it to a tile background or something like that, and truly creating a one-of-a-kind, unique masterpiece for your customer. And you don't have to go pay to have that design. I mean, I have a Midjourney subscription. It costs me $30 a month. I can create hundreds and hundreds of images for that, and I do. And they're fully licensed. I'm not an attorney, so don't hold me up on Midjourney's licensing, but from everything I've read, everything's fully licensed. I can use them in client work, anything I want. Absolutely. Again, I would think if you're a kitchen remodeler and you're trying to come up with something unique for a customer, it'd be a great thing to learn and a great tool to be able to create things that are just wild and brand new. I think there's so many options like that out there.
Yeah. And, going back to tools like ChatGPT, though, one of the things is, I mean, you can ask it questions, or, and it will be able to do things for you and create solutions that you didn't even know existed. And an example I'll give you is earlier this week, I was looking to create a team photo of our team over at Kitchen Remodeling SEO. And some of our people are remote. Some of the people I have never met in person. But what I was able to do is I was able to take a photo and literally say, hey, take these 5-6 pictures. I want you to swap the faces or swap the bodies out of people in an old photo so that we can update our team. And I there's no way this is going to work. It's going to spit something back me. Either it's going to tell me, I don't think you understand what an AI does, or something to that extent, right? It literally swapped out faces. So that was, play around with it. And I think you'll learn that you can do all kinds of things you never even imagined.
Oh, absolutely. Again, there's whether it be imagery or whether it be text or research or whatever. The whole point is, it is, in my mind, going back to what I say to so many people that are hesitant to try it, is try it, and you'd be surprised how quickly you could save an hour a day in your work process. That letter that you need to write to a customer because they're not paying you on time, and you want to be firm, but you don't want to be rude. How do you say that? Well, ChatGPT will write a great letter and get you 80 to 95% of the way there, and you'll need to take 3 minutes to tweak a few things, and it'll be ready to go. Hey, your a job's running behind and you need to send an email to the client to let them know why it's running behind and take responsibility, but also maybe try to let them know that's not all your fault. ChatGPT is going to help you craft that email, and it's going to sound, if you're anything like me, it's going to sound far better than what you can write yourself, because it's not emotional about it, but it's got so much reference, it can pull that in. So yeah, I mean, those are just a couple things that I know are so easy to do and take a lot of stress off me if I don't have to worry about trying to do those things personally.
Yeah, and for sure, when someone sends you an email, and it hits home, and it becomes accusatory, or someone's
Exactly.
unhappy about something. I mean, your first gut reaction is, I'm going into defense mode, and ChatGPT doesn't do that. It takes emotion out, and I can even tell ChatGPT, I want you to write this in a professional way and remove the emotion that a human would have. And by the way, I also want you to write it in a conversational style, so it sounds like a human wrote it. So
Exactly.
it get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, no, and again, a real world example of how it works. We just ran into a problem with a vendor of ours that we've worked with for many years. They had some changes happen, and it caused some problems. It ended up costing us some money because of an error they made, and so we wrote them a letter and basically said, hey, while we appreciate the issues that you've dealt with, and we knew what they were, we were able to talk about that. Your error cost us X number of dollars, and so we're going to deduct that off of the fee that you charged us and pay the balance. And ChatGPT wrote so much better letter than what we could have run or written. And we got a letter back from them today. And admittedly, I was opening going, okay, they're not going to be happy. Not only were they pleasant about it, but they actually sent us our check back and said, wow, we weren't aware that we caused the problem. We are so sorry. We're not even going to accept payment. We've zeroed out your account. Thank you. And we hope you'll continue to work with us. I would have never been able to do that on my own.
For sure. No, that absolutely makes all the sense in the world to me. So let me ask you this though. AI's capabilities to process so much data. Take aside the just writing content, but I mean, I think AI is so much more than just a content writer. Can you explain how you utilize tools like ChatGPT, like Bard, to review sales trends, find ways to improve processes and things to that extent, just become more efficient?
Well, the tools have a tremendous ability to just go through reams and reams of data that would take us hours to do. So let's say sales data. If you've got, for example, industry sales data, and you want to analyze that and maybe be able to look at trends for what's coming up, you can take that data, you can either upload it as a CSV file or a spreadsheet or a PDF into these tools, and you can ask it to literally give you feedback and analysis based upon the criteria that you set. It'll look at that and say, okay, if this is what your objectives are, and this is what you're trying to do from a marketing perspective, based on the information in these sales reports, here's your answer, or here's your perspectives. Just tremendous value when it comes to that data analysis portion, and being able to take, again, tremendous amounts of data and distill it down to the information you as a business owner need right now, without requiring you to read through the entire process and go through and probably miss what you needed anyway, because there was just too much data.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And that makes sense. And it makes us so much more efficient. It eliminates mundane tasks that really we don't need someone who's working at a $40-50 an hour rate to be doing, right? But with that said, and I think there's a common fear among a lot of people, especially, kitchen remodeling owners. You have employees, and they're fearful that AI is going to replace their job. So, John, how would you explain the role of AI in really enhancing human productivity, making employees more valuable, not as something that you should fear?
Well, I think first I'm going to go back to what Josh Wheeler said, and AI is really not at this point. What we call AI is machine learning. It's truly not artificial intelligence yet. We'll probably get there someday, and that'll be another major transition in the world. I compare a lot of it. People say, I don't like this AI because people are going to lose their jobs. When the internal combustion engine came out, there were people that lost their jobs, but most of the people said, okay, horse and buggy is probably not the best way to get around anymore. So if I work at the buggy whip factory, it now would be a really good time for me to learn some new skills. And that same person that used to build buggy whips now went to work for Henry Ford or whomever it was and worked on the line making other parts for cars that used internal combustion engines. And I really see that same thing is going to be happening with AI. But even better than that, when that internal combustion engine came out, the everyday man didn't have the opportunity to really leverage that technology to make their lives any better. They went from making buggy whips to putting together cars. AI is really different in the fact that every single person with an internet connection can literally learn how to use it and learn how to leverage that, and they can use it to better their own lifestyle and their own well-being, their family, because they didn't have to learn a new skill that was essentially doing the same thing they were in the past. Now you're able to learn new skills that can truly change your entire economic picture for you and your family.
Oh, for sure. And it's funny. I remember a few months ago, I was looking at Indeed or Monster or something. I was reading an article somewhere, and they were talking about how we have this new industry called prompt engineering. And people who were, who literally they could have just graduated high school, they had no college education, but they know how to ask questions. And if you can figure out how to write those prompts to get the response, I mean, you can easily make, a six-figure salary.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I know there are major enterprise level companies, finance companies, manufacturing companies, at the highest levels, and they're hiring this thing called a prompt engineer, and they're paying $250,000 a year for someone who can make this stuff just work.
Well, especially when we figure out how now you can take beyond just ChatGPT and Google Bard. Imagine again, let's say you're running obviously a kitchen remodeling business, and you have regular questions that your customers are asking, and you want to be out doing jobs or living life. You now can take these same engines that are running that, the same data sets. You can go ahead and have them learn on your company data. You can upload your best practices, your policies, the products that you sell and all that. And these tools can learn that. And now when your customers either send in a text message or they're chatting on your website or whatever, these tools can literally answer those questions and do it almost perfectly, because they're going to base it upon the same data that you used to train your customer service people on, except they're not going to forget the tools that are. They're not going to call in sick. They're there 24 hours a day to be able to provide access to that information and data that could very well be coming right from your business and providing a very personalized experience then for your customer or your prospect, who hopefully as a result of that goes, wow, I need to work with you because you guys just made me feel like you're on top of the world. You've got everything together. That's who I want to remodel my kitchen.
Absolutely. And it's funny as you're saying that, I'm thinking of, a story about a year ago or so. We were using a software that helped us improve our content. And I remember a client came to me and said, I don't know who this new author is that you have, but they have taken such a deep dive, and their writing style is so much better than what you were doing before. I mean, you've got to give that guy a raise. And I smirked a little, and I didn't want to tell him that was actually an AI that took a piece of content that one of our actual human authors wrote and just improved upon it. But I mean, it's so, it can be such a game changer.
Absolutely. I mean, we just finished a client helping them write a training manual. Not something we typically do, but they had a very limited budget. They were looking for some help. It happens to be a nonprofit, so they're a great cause. And we literally went into ChatGPT. We fed it a bunch of data, and we said, here's all the background information. Now, based on this, we need you to create an outline for a training manual. And we gave that, it created that for us. Then we went back through what we call chain prompting or prompt chaining, where we ask additional questions. We would say, now take section 1, and I want you to write an introduction for section 1. Now I want you to write the lesson for section 1. And we did that through each of it. We presented it to the client, and the client was like, similar to what you said, they said, who did this? Because they understand our industry really, really well. And I'm like, remember we talked, we were going to use AI to do this. And they're like, but how did it know? And I said, because it has that frame of reference. We fed it your data. We gave it all the relevant background information, and it already has information on the people that you're training. It's not as who they are, but demographically. In this case, we were training people between about 25 and 35 that were all married, specific demographic. Once we gave ChatGPT those demographics and those parameters, it knew how to write in a way that was going to appeal to those people and that was going to be relevant and that was going to be accurate at the same time. And we turned what would have been, according to my editor on staff, she estimated it would have taken about 45 days to do. We did the entire project in 8.5 hours.
That's incredible.
And it was a benefit to the client too, because the client didn't pay us for 45 days worth of work. So everybody won in the process.
And the only time that I think I worry about using it to write content is if you're using it maybe in an SEO perspective, right? If you're using it,
it's risky.
Yeah, don't tell Jasper, tell Surfer AI or ChatGPT or whatever content writer you're using to, hey, this is what I want you to write about, and go write it, copy and paste it. You're going to, and it might actually work initially if, if using Surfer AI, something like that, but it's going to catch up to you, right? You need to still have the human being look at it. And that's why I say people aren't going to lose their jobs, but now maybe instead of having somebody write a whole bunch of content, now they can actually concentrate on making it better and editing the content, adding in that personal touch. Because think about SEO. What is SEO all about? It's this thing called EAT. We're not talking about grandma's lasagna, right? We're talking about expertise, experience, authority, and trust. And the first E in that, the experience, is something that an AI can't have. It doesn't have experiences. Humans have experiences, so it can have all the expertise in the world, but you still need that person, and you need to connect it. You need to connect to someone's profile, who literally has that experience, and it gives you the authority. So it's really a marriage of technology with the person.
Well, absolutely. And I don't care who you are. AI isn't necessarily the easy button. It's an easier button. In other words, it's designed to save you time. You're absolutely right. If I'm going to write something, whether it be an email to my customer or a Facebook post or an article for a blog, I don't want to just take and copy and paste it. You may get lucky and it might work, but in all likelihood, you're going to look through and you're going to say, okay, is this really going to be helpful to my audience exactly as the AI wrote it? And chances are you're going to say it could be more helpful if I spent 10 to 15 minutes on it making some changes. But instead of writing or taking hours to research and write and do everything else, now I can turn that into something that, maybe I can do in 30 minutes instead. Again, the question I encourage your viewers to ask is, how can I use it to save me 60 minutes today? Because if we could save ourselves 60 minutes a day, it's 5 hours a week, probably more for business owners. And now that's extra time we have to either get caught up, if your task list looks like mine, to pursue things we love, or to spend more time with our family, all of which are great. So why not use it to do that? And again, it doesn't get us out. It's not a silver bullet. I think, Mike, you've probably heard that too. Everybody in SEO wants this silver bullet. What's the one thing I need to do to beat my competition online? There isn't one thing. Same with AI. It doesn't work that way. But just as good SEO best practices can help, and that's where you come in and your company comes in helping people do that, good AI best practices can save you time and energy and hopefully money as a result of that, and probably in many cases deliver something that's better for the end user.
Yeah, for sure. And in AI, it's only going to get better. It's only going to continue to learn, continue to improve us. But one of the things I want to ask you is, because I know you're on the kind of the forefront of this, and I know you're reading up every day. So what are some of the upcoming AI trends or advancements that a small business owner, someone in the home services, should watch out for? And really, how can they start their journey into integrating AI into their operations if they haven't done so yet?
Well, I think the biggest thing we're going to see is the data sets that the models can read are increasing exponentially. When ChatGPT first came out, I don't remember what it was, but it was around 10 or 20,000 characters. They recently updated it to 45 to 50,000 characters. Bear with me, I'm a general guy, so I don't know the exact number. But then just last week or the week before, Anthropic came out in Claude 2 with 100,000 character limit. We're going to see that expand probably, I'm guessing, to millions by the end of the year. And what that really means for us as business owners and entrepreneurs is we have the opportunity to use these tools now to feed all of our data into as a company. You can feed all of the brands you work with. Imagine feeding in the brochures of every company you represent, the color chips, the what it's for, the who it's for, the value, the features, advantages, benefits, and not only all that from a sales perspective, but now imagine all of your company data and having that ability for a staff member or a team member to be able to go and query the next time they wonder, I wonder what I'm supposed to do here. Client calls to reschedule and they're really not sure what that process is. Well, now they'll have that. They can literally query ChatGPT or whatever tool you've got, and they can find out, here's how your company handles that. Same as we talked earlier, when that prospect comes to your website or texts you a message or calls in even, to be able to get a response to them that's based on your company's data and your company's experience and turn that around. I think the early adopters in that market are going to do the best and are going to see some of the fastest return on that investment, because they're going to be able to provide very direct, relevant information to those people, whether team members or prospects. And again, if it's on a team member, if that saves them a half hour a day, that's a half hour more worth of value that they can add to the company. If it's a prospect and you make their life easier, we all want to work with people we know, like, and trust, and that's going to improve all three of those and make it more likely they choose you over your competitor who says, well, let me pull out the brochure here a minute and I'll let me see what the specs are on that, versus being able to send a text message and go, I'm ordering this cabinet, or I want to order this cabinet. What are the dimensions? And imagine that's all part of your sales data, and the tool responds with that data immediately.
And that's one of the best things about when you're utilizing Facebook Messenger or things like that, where you can emulate a human, but you've got so much stuff at your fingertips, and people they don't have attention spans anymore, right? And
Correct.
if you don't have that answer at the tip of your tongue or finger, whatever the phrase is, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. Just bringing this back to the kitchen remodelers and the cabinetry business owners and people like that. What is the one tip that you would give someone in terms of how do you improve your sales process through AI? Because it's easy to talk about content development, it's easy to talk about marketing and leads and all that. But what really matters to people, nobody cares how many leads you get. Nobody cares about how many eyeballs you get. How do you improve your actual sales with the technology?
Well, there's a couple things that I recommend. Part of it is beginning by improving your sales process and understanding your customer better. We've used it on our customer base and everything else to help us really understand who our clients are, what traits they have that are consistent, which ones are not. And we've done it by breaking down, we won't gone through and looked at our client base and said, okay, here are the clients that we would move heaven and earth for, and they would be thankful and pay us to do. So we want to move heaven and earth because they're going to be thankful for us doing it. They're not going to expect it, but they're going to be willing to pay for it. And then we've got at the whole other end of the spectrum, you've got the clients that you could move heaven and earth for, and they're going to be upset because you didn't do it faster. They're going to ask you to do it for free. And those are the clients you don't want to work with. And then there's everybody in between. And by feeding that data in and making some assumptions, we then were able to use the tools to come back and say, how do we best position our services to this market? And it's some of the insights they gave us, and I've been in this business since 1995, so I've been doing this a long time. Some of the insights that it gave us, I'd never thought of before. Some of the ways to approach our prospects and to talk about how our services make their lives better in a way that I'd never even considered. Some of the pain points that they're likely experiencing and how we could address those. So that's part of it. I think it's improving your own internal sales processes and how you can respond to customers. The other part where I find AI to be hugely valuable is just in helping us keep in touch and nurture those clients and keep them on. They say you need 20 some touches a year with a customer to keep them a customer so they don't forget who you are, even after they've written you a check. And the ability to use AI to help with that, whether that be through text messages, whether that be through blind voicemails, through emails, there's so many ways that we never have implemented in the past because we simply didn't have enough time as business owners and entrepreneurs. And now we do, because we can leverage these tools to expedite that process, significantly through that sales process.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I would suggest anyone who's using a CRM system, look at the automation that you can incorporate.
Yes.
Look at those workflows and the emails, the voicemail drops, the text messages, schedule it out. You can track when someone's birthday is, all special events in their life. I mean, if you're a restaurant owner, ask the question, when's your anniversary? The first time somebody comes in, jot it down, put it in the system. System's going to remember it. It's going to say, this is just basic.
Yeah, it doesn't forget.
101. Yeah. I'm going to forget.
I'm sure you've seen this too, Mike. One of the other big things we know, and Harvard just came out with a study at the end of last year that showed that for every minute it takes you to respond to that new sales inquiry, your likelihood of closing it after 5 minutes is actually down to less than 10%. So think about that as a business. You've got a new prospect calling in, life's busy, you're on a job, whatever is going on. We just don't get to respond to every email, every text message, every phone call within 5 minutes. And again, according to the study by Harvard, and I would believe it, once you're past that 5 minutes, your chances of closing that deal are literally like around 10 to 12%. It drops precipitously. With AI tools, we can identify that call the moment it comes in, and we can follow up with them within seconds. One of the things we've implemented in our company, if you call and we don't answer the phone, which does happen sometimes because everybody's on the line, the system, an AI tool that we have, will message you back, because what are most people using nowadays? They're calling from their cell phones. So we automatically send a text message back that says, hey, Mike, I saw you called. I'm really sorry we missed your call. How can we help you? And you know what? It surprises me how many people then text us back and go, oh, Jonathan, yeah, I was calling about the following. I had a question about this. And now instead of them going, oh, man, they didn't pick up the phone, I don't know. Oh, it's still on my list, I'll call somebody else. Now, all of a sudden, they're engaged with us in a conversation, and they're not calling our competitor. They're talking to us. And I think that's one of the best ways you can use AI-based tools to provide that higher level of customer service, that immediate response that people want. Again, we have the attention span of gnats, myself included. We need to be able to respond almost immediately in order to save those very precious inbound leads that we're getting.
It's funny you say that, and let me tell you, one of the things that we're doing actually now with some clients, and guys, you can only do this and check with an attorney first, because you can only do this in certain states. But when somebody calls and we don't pick the phone up and don't call back within 30 seconds, we do a voicemail drop. And we'll have someone who'll be, hey, this is Mike from ABC Company. Just so you called. Sorry, Mom, I was on the other line. Sorry, I missed you here. But what's the best time for me to get back to you? And most people, what they do is they don't realize that's a voicemail drop. They think that you called and they just missed your call. So it's even more personable than the text, because
Absolutely.
And and you can do that. You can use the text messages. Again, talk to the attorneys, because you can't do voicemail drops in every state. I just want to kind of put that out there. But it's definitely a way that you can incorporate AI. So it's just, again, it marries the human touch, that the sales guy has actual voice on it, but it's incorporating the automation, so that you don't have to physically do it.
No, great idea. Fantastic idea. And again, it's just a real practical use of AI.
For sure. Now, John, you've given us you just dropped some real knowledge bombs on us today. You've given us so much information. And I'm sure my listeners really found a lot of value in that. But for those people who want to learn more about AI, for those people who want to get a little bit more information from you, how is it that they would find you? Where do they go to talk with you, engage with you? Is there a group? Is there a phone? What's the deal?
Oh, great question. Well, if you're listening to this, the fastest and easiest way is just to go to my website. You can message me right from there. It's Whitebeard Strategies. You guys have no idea where that came from. I don't know, but Whitebeard Strategies. And if you want, Mike, I know you know about this. I run a Facebook group. This is not a for-profit thing, but if you're a business owner and you want to know about how to leverage AI, just go to whitebeardstrategies.com/AI group. And I see Mike's got the message there on the bottom. Just go there and join. It is a private group. You're going to have to apply. Don't worry. I let everybody in, but it's not public, because we keep I don't want to say the riffraff, but we keep all the marketers and salespeople out. There's no sales pitch. You're never going to be pitched in that group about buying a course or buying a bunch of prompts or anything like that. We're there to help everybody. We're over 2,100 people in just the first 2 months. If you want to learn, that's probably the easiest and best way to do it. And the other thing, if you head to the website, my cell phone number is on there. You got a question, pick it up and call me. I'll answer. If I'm not in a meeting, I'll pick it up. I'm more than happy to be a resource to anybody. If you know Mike and are listening to his podcast, you're a friend, and we want to chat. We want to help. I'm a big believer in that rising tide raises all boats. So, use this as a resource. That's why we're here.
Jonathan, thank you so much for sharing that. And guys, just quick endorsement is I have been a member of the Facebook group for some time. We have found so much value in that group. We've asked a couple questions. Jonathan, you've actually helped me by responding in the group with helping us write some prompts that have just been real game changers for the way that we look at SEO data interpretation. So guys, definitely join the group, check it out. But with that said, again, I want to thank you so much, Jonathan, for being on the podcast today. We had a great time. We learned a ton. So with that said, this is Mike Goldstein for Jonathan Mast. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, listening to Crushing It with Kitchen Remodeling. Check back next week. We're going to have another great episode.